What exciting adventures will we choose? We'll make new friends and make some plans. We'll post videos as we visit new lands. We'd love you to join us as we sail around in floating hotels of every brand. We're retired and it's time to cruise. Come and join us or watch our YouTubes.
Darren and I want to talk to you today about some of the excellent information that we've been receiving on the cruise. There have been several lectures that we've had the privilege to listen to.
Really good lecture series. There was all the port of calls lectures, and they also had information lectures like Marco Polo, the potato famine, and lots of things like that. But the last one we went to was the best.
Well, and it's something that we really think you, as future cruisers, would be interested in. This is Cruise Life Aboard the Ship,
Put on by Island Princess.
and they've done it a little bit different than we've ever seen it before. They don't hit some of the areas that we've heard about before, but they really hit other areas very well.
Right, it was very comprehensive. It went through. Now be prepared for a long video because it was about 40 minutes, and it went through everything from how to apply for a job on a cruise ship, to the cabins on the cruise ship for the crew, to what the crew's allowed to do, what the crew isn't allowed to do. It showed the background where the different crew members work, like such as the galley and the laundry. So it was a very comprehensive, all-inclusive talk on a lot of the things that has to do with ship life and how to actually get hired to work on a ship.
I particularly liked it because our cruise director, who for the life of me I don't remember his name, but he's from Honduras, he was making fun of the
Canadian
entertainment director, and the Canadian entertainment director was a lot of fun himself.
No, but you told me you wanted a mustache. That's your mustache. You're welcome. So, wow. We're going to start off with backgrounds first. We're going to talk about how we got to where we are. And by the way, you can follow us on social media. I'm Cruise Director Oz, and Kyler is Moose Appreciation Society, because he's from Canada.
So, I have no idea what that even means, but you can tell Oz made this up himself because he hasn't even spelled society properly. Good job.
Stop.
That's the Honduran spelling, apparently.
Thank you. It's spelled with an accent. You're welcome.
Yeah.
It still says society.
Just like that French mustache I've got there, right?
All right, Kyler, so please share with everybody what was your journey to get where you are. What was your background?
So I am from a small town called Hanover, Ontario, Canada. And I see you, sir, rocking a Western Mustangs hat, so you've got to be from my area as well. So, small town, 2 hours northwest of Toronto, middle of nowhere. It's got 2 feet of snow right now, so that's making the weather here look pretty good, actually. If you want to go way back to the past, I went to University of Windsor. I have a degree in political science, and I know you're thinking, huh? So the easiest way I've come up with to describe it is very simple. So politics equals lying, which equals BS, which equals acting, which equals entertainment. So
that totally makes sense, and at the same time it doesn't make sense.
It does when you look at it that way. So I used to work in radio, as you maybe can hear from the voice and the face to match. I do have a face for radio as well.
I was about to say that.
That joke used to bother me, but it doesn't even faze me anymore. So I worked in radio for several years in Canada, as well as emceeing some small clubs around Midwestern and Southern Ontario. Unfortunately, radio in Canada pays roughly the same as the assistant manager at McDonald's. So I hung up my headphones and decided to run away and come to sea. And I started in 2009 as a junior assistant cruise director, as we called them at that time, which would be like Oz's onboard activities team, as you've seen. Liv and those Lua and Janina. Sorry, I knew.
Wow, they're part of your team too. You should know their names by now, Tyler.
I've only been here for 6 days now. I'm still trying to get through all the names, but so started out like that. Worked through the crew staff department for a while. Went over to our loyalty department and then into our sales department, and then I've come full circle back to running the entertainment department here on board.
That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Give it up for Tyler.
Thank you. Can I leave things? No. Okay.
This is only slide number 1.
We'll put it over to the moose speller himself then. Oz, we'll get your background.
All right, so as you guys know, I'm from Honduras, right? Like small city in North Coast is called Tela. And I've been married for 18 years. I have 2 daughters. And my background is actually, by profession, I am an electrician. So my first job on a ship, when I joined, it was a different cruise line company. I'm not going to say the name, but it rhymes with celebrity. And on that company, I came on as a dishwasher. That was my very first job on ships, dishwasher. And at that time, I'm talking about 2009, toward the end of 2009 as well. And they had this crew talent show that we were able to, find teammates from all over the ship. If they could sing, they could dance, they could tell a joke, they could do magic, anything like that.
So you can't do any of those things. So
why did I agree on doing this? So when I was at home before being an electrician, I used to work in hotels and resorts, and we had the dancing and the activities and the events and all that. And we used to have a Michael Jackson tribute. So it was many pounds ago. I was doing a Michael Jackson tribute. It was a 3-minute choreography just by myself on stage. And sadly, I don't have pictures about that. But it was so much fun, and I felt comfortable because that was already part of my life, right? And I'm the youngest one of 4, therefore I was always jumping for attention. I was like, I'm here. Nobody wanted to look at me. And therefore I ended up working on ships as a cruise director, still calling attention. Now, what happened was, we usually have 90-day probation on the first contract ever to see if your sea legs can grow, if you are able to do this for a long period of time. So after the 90 days, they call you into the office and they say, yes, you are good to work here, good job, you have a full contract, keep on doing well. So what happened was, I got called in the office on the last of the 90 days, and I sat down. There was the executive chef, my supervisor, his boss, food and beverage director, and human resources manager. And I'm sitting in front of them. And they say to me, Oz, you're not going to work with us anymore.
Oh, that's awful.
And I was like, I got upset because I was busting my behind, cleaning over 15,000 dishes every single day. So I was angry. I was like, what do you mean I'm not going to work with you anymore? Like I was frustrated. And they were like, yeah, you don't belong here. You're not going to keep on working with us. Cruise director and activities manager, which is what they called it back there, they came in the office and they said, because tomorrow you're going to start working with us in the entertainment side. I know, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. So I stayed on Celebrity for about 8 years, Celebrity, and I moved up to be an activities manager, and then I wanted to learn a little bit more. And then I started searching different companies, and I saw the product that Princess has and the production value they have, shows and everything else. So I was like, you know what, this will be a good place to be. And I came on as assistant cruise director on 2019, February, and I have worked my way up to cruise director since then. So it has been a roller coaster.
Can we see your moonwalk?
What?
Can we see your moonwalk? This would explain why the Michael Jackson show didn't go any further. Oh, yeah, there we go.
I'm telling you, it was many pounds ago, all right? Now my belly is pushing me forward. I can do the whole leaning on the side. So yeah, that is a little bit about ourselves. Now we're gonna go into details over here. How do we join the ship? What we have to go through so we can actually get on board, right? So we have all of that stuff. First of all, who is your manning agent?
Okay, do we have anyone here who would like to work on a cruise ship?
Don't raise your hand.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Do you have any kids or grandkids you would like to go work on a cruise ship? All right, we got a few of those. So the first thing I'm going to say, and this is kind of the downer portion of this presentation, if you are looking to work on a cruise ship and you have anyone say to you, yes, we can get you a job on a ship, please send us X amount of dollars. Do not walk away. Run. Because that is a absolute, complete, and total scam.
Yes.
And I do give this warning because unfortunately this has been happening more and more in the past few years. We do have some people out there preying on others that are asking them basically to send money and they'll get you a job.
That is very true. And sorry, in Honduras, when I was applying to get on the first company, the people said, you will send us 60% of your wages and you will keep 40% of your wages because we are the ones connecting you with the company. And I was like, bye-bye.
That's actually where that came from, that bye-bye line.
Yeah, literally.
So Princess does work with recruitment agencies throughout the world. So myself, coming from Canada, I work directly for what we refer to as PCLA, Princess Cruises Los Angeles. Even though if any of you are from Los Angeles, you realize that Santa Clarita actually isn't Los Angeles, but that's another story altogether. So we do work with various agencies throughout the world. So Oz works with...
I work with Selection Partners.
Selection
and they are
Partners.
located in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. So
That's right next door to Honduras. Yeah,
I can tell you're from Canada.
I was being just slightly sarcastic.
Slightly.
I do know my geography slightly, I think. Anyway, so we do work with manning agents and recruiters around the world. So if you are looking for a job, they will do the initial interviewing. So usually what we would do is, if anyone's looking for a job, direct you to our website and it lists the various agencies that we work through with throughout the world. Then what happens is they will do the initial interviewing. They will get you fit for the right job that you're looking for, and then they will pass that on to Princess, assuming Princess agrees. They might do another couple of interviews as well. It's not like the old days when I started. I'm not that old, I swear, but when I started, I actually had to drive to Toronto and meet someone and do an interview. Now they have these crazy things like Zoom and Skype and whatnot, so you can actually do an interview from your home and do it that way, so you don't have to worry about taking a drive. And then what will happen is once you do get hired, you will get your email, your joining documents, and then we'll go from there. Do you want to log in on that?
So when it comes to that, actually, I got my job for Princess through Skype, and that was the easiest way. I had two interviews, one with the human resources and one with one of our senior managements from Santa Clarita. So then they decided to send everything to us. Now, when it comes to the joining documents, what they will send you is your full contract. It tells you your wages, when you start your contract, when you finish your contract, and there's always a variant in there until for you to extend, if you want to extend your contract, or if you want to short it, then you will have to communicate with them and let them know. And then as soon as you get all the documents from the company will say to you, all right, do you have your C1D visa prepared? Do you have your Siemens book prepared? Do you have your Siemens permission or card or whatever else? So we have these different agencies. For example, in Honduras, everything is located in the capital city of Honduras, which is Tegucigalpa. Trivia question for the future. And we have to go there and we have to get all that documentation. It takes probably less than a week to get that ready. And when you're applying for the C1D visa, which is a seafarer's visa, that the US government is going to allow you to come into the country so you can join a vessel, all right? And the only two places in the world on my side that I need a visa will be in the United States and Australia. So for Australia, it's a landing permit that lasts for about 5 years, so you are able to get that for free. Now, when the company is asking you to get that C1D visa, the company will say, how much did you pay? Show me the receipt, and the company refunds you that money. So it's pretty good. Then we go into the flights. How are your flights, Kyla?
You missed one other big thing too.
Which
the
one?
medical.
Oh, the medical certificate, yes. So we have to be completely fit for duty.
Or close to it.
Well, I mean, so fit for duty. Fit is not a right word. You have to be good to work. So we have to go through a very intense kind of medical testings and checkings. We have to do blood tests. We have to have x-rays, heart, I don't know what you call that.
ECG.
Yeah, there you go. And also dental checkups, mental checkups, everything. In my country, I'm lucky that we don't have the mental checkup, otherwise, you know. And if they find that you are lacking something, or you have too much, something is going on with you, they will tell you, you have to get yourself better in order for us to give you that certificate that says that you can go ahead and work. Because once we are on board, the company provides us medical care for free. So whenever we get sick on board, we get to have a couple of days off so we can recover, and they give us all medication, they take care of everybody. And if you are injured on board, they send you back home and they will take care of all your medical expenses. So you are properly taken care of by the company, which is awesome.
Yeah, the medical varies depending on where you're coming from. So when I first started, we had to actually get a Bermuda medical, because you know Canada and Bermuda are real close or something along those lines. So we had to go and do that. That medical was completely ridiculous. It cost me $1,000. Yeah, 1,000 Canadian dollars. What's that, about 50 US or so? No. Yeah, not quite, but close.
4,500 lempiras.
Yeah, exactly. But for the last 6 or 7 years, I've been able to just get a Transport Canada medical certificate, which is significantly easier to get and only cost me $200, which is a much better bargain. But it is good for 2 years at the maximum. So at least every 2 years, all of the crew members will have to go and get a new medical certificate. The reason being is we have to make sure that we are able to perform in emergency duties, because of course, working at sea is not your Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. This is 7 days a week for months and months at a time. There is no exception to that, and you do have to be available to assist in the event of an emergency. So it is certainly a big factor to have that medical certificate. Yeah. So that's definitely one of the big ones that goes with the joining documents. The one other thing I was mentioned was the C1D visa from the US. Evidently, it's not as big of a backup to apply for that in Honduras as some countries it is around the world. Being Canadian, I don't actually need one. Canadians and Americans are the only ones that don't need a C1D.
Yeah.
But some of the people coming from, especially the Eastern European countries, can actually have to wait up to 6 months to 10 months to actually get their C1D, because they have to get an appointment with the US Embassy. During that time that we don't mention, that rhymed with Ovid, it was even more of a backup. There was actually almost an 18-month backup for people to get those C1Ds.
So when you go to Honduras, right, and you're trying to get your visa in Honduras, the officer is going to be asking you a lot of questions just to see what your background is. And they asked me, like, have you ever been in jail? And I was like, no, I run faster. Now, flights. When it comes to the flights, so good thing, I don't know about you, but I get my flights paid.
Yeah, we all do.
Okay, good.
They're not the direct flights. They're just flights.
It's like one of them machines that you have to be paddling with everybody so the wings of the plane keep on moving and we can get from out of Honduras, you know, like somewhere
Usually
else.
The easiest way to look at it is you can look at the map and say, okay, well, where am I joining the ship? And then you look and you go, okay, what would be the most direct route to go there? And then picture the opposite of that, and then that'll end up being what you're booked on. So if they can save 50 cents, they will. I think this one wasn't all that bad for me to join. This ship, joining here, I did Toronto, Dublin, Dublin, Rome. I think my absolute worst one ever was from Osaka, Japan, which Osaka to Toronto is basically just, you could just head directly east, but no, we won't do that. So that was Osaka to Honolulu, because, you know, that's on the way, to Atlanta, to Philadelphia, to Toronto. So they don't exactly go with the most direct, but legally they do get us flights, so we do get to go where we're going, and we get to keep our own air miles too. So
that is true. Now, when it comes to the hotels, the company usually uses the same hotels that you guys use. As I've stayed many times with guests that are joining the ship on the day after. So we usually fly to get into the hotel, like in the port that we're gonna embark, one night before at least, so we can have a good rest overnight. Next day, get up and get ready and join the ship. Like many of you, some of you are flying in a day or 2 days or a couple of days prior to the cruise, so you can enjoy yourselves, you know, explore the port and whatnot, and then we come up and join. All right, now, the first 2 weeks. What do the first 2 weeks entail?
Is that supposed to be Camp in Cataldi?
No.
Okay, good, because I don't think he'd
I'll
like
be
that.
fired.
Yeah, exactly.
So on job learning, if you are brand new to a position, for example, when I came on as an assistant cruise director, yes, I had experience as a cruise staff on Celebrity, but obviously, Celebrity, my apologies. We have to still learn what Princess is all about. So we have to learn the Princess product in order for us to perform and do the job. So I spent the first 2 weeks literally shadowing everybody, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, okay. So you have to get into it, and 2 weeks is more than enough, I believe, right? Yeah. And then when it comes to the safety training, which is the most important thing, day number 1, when we join in, we actually have our entertainment director giving the stairway guide and master personal training for all the new joiners. And it doesn't matter if you've been working with the company for many years, you will still get that training on the very first day when you join, because it is a refresher. You're coming from home on which the safety you have to take care of is super small in comparison to taking care of a muster station. In my side, I don't know if you were with me on this muster station on embarkation day, we have to know all the procedures and policies and all that stuff. So that's why we always get that safety training and duties. And then you are actually the one deciding who goes to what on the duties.
Within the entertainment department, yes. So all of the heads of department will assign the various crew members that are joining that day for their emergency duties. And it'll vary depending on the department you're in. So entertainment, we're generally guest facing. Hopefully we can all speak English. So the idea is we're in those more guest-facing positions, like muster personnel, stairway guides, etc. Our deck department and our technical department, they are the people that are involved in the firefighting teams, because of course, as a floating ship in the middle of the ocean, we can't just pick up the phone and call the local fire department to come if we have an issue on board. So those are people that are on board working with our team, that also that's part of their duties as well, to work within the fire department team, which are not fire department, but fire team as well. So they will do additional training as well, firefighting techniques as well. When we have our full crew drills, we always have fire exercise as well. So we do drills roughly every 2 weeks. We just had a drill, full fire team with the hoses rigged and everything else, so that they are always training and always ready. And I know, especially crew members, a lot of them, oh my God, another drill, we have to do this again. But what happens is the whole importance of the drills is that it does become second nature. And if you do end up in a full, true emergency situation, which unfortunately I have, although nothing bad happened at the end of it, but it just becomes second nature, so you don't even have to think of it. And that's the whole point of drills. So literally, you don't even think about it. It's just a thing goes off in your head and you're just boom, okay, this is what I have to do. So a lot of training to do with that. We do get people assigned into their duties. Any additional training they need on the first day or the first few days will happen within that time. First 2 weeks are very intense, because it's not like, oh, okay, you're here, you may have just flown around the world, just go and sleep for the next week and we'll get you when you're ready. You start work on day one. You are straight into work. Once you've done a few contracts, it's no big deal, but on your first contract,
it's a shocker.
Yeah, it is a complete shock. You've conceivably never been that far away from home. You're on a ship in a lot of cases for the first time. You may have never had a roommate before, and it's just boom, you're straight into it. So it is very intense in the first 2 weeks. So if you do see those crew members that look a little bit like deer in headlights on their first 2 weeks, just give them a break, because they are literally just, oh my God, what have I done? I'm here now. Getting adjusted.
Especially if we come from the other side of the world. I live in Honduras, and we were 6-7 hours almost difference on Italy when I joined. So your brain has to reset and then get your biological clock ready and back to day and night, right? So, for example, when here is 11 p.m., at home will be like 4 or 5 p.m. So there's a huge shock when you come in. So, but we cope with it. It's nothing crazy, nothing bad.
This is easier than going to Australia. That's the one that gets really rough. I think we got a few Aussies, you know what the time change is like. That gets a bit much. Oh, the average day.
So you always see that we are really busy on days at sea. We're gonna talk about day at sea first. The average day for me, I will say, I always wake up at 5 a.m.
I sign your time card. I don't. You don't have to lie to me.
I usually wake up at 7, between 6:30 and 7 a.m. So when I come out and start, being on the floor for everybody, I have to look alive. Otherwise, I will look like this, and I'm not going to be able to see anybody. So I usually start at that, and then I record what we call the wake show. I don't know if you've watched it on TV. It's always recorded for the following day, so you see what information we have and what shows we have, what events we have around the ship. So I record that at 9 a.m. with the broadcast team. They take care of that video, they edit it, and then they upload it late in the evening, so you can see it for the next day. After that, we have game shows, we have different events with the officers as well, some presentations. For example, like today, we had to put it in because we had the surprise day at sea, so just adding extra entertainment. If we have a surprise day at sea, we have to make sure that you are all very, very busy and still enjoying yourselves. Talk about port days.
So the one thing to really kind of look into the difference between the two is it depends on where you work as to which day you prefer. So Oz and myself, and basically anybody that is in a guest-facing position, sea days are significantly busier. So these are our days where it's like, okay, buckle down, you got to work a lot. If you work in the deck department, you love sea days because the deck department just gets to look out the window on sea days. They just get to stand up on the bridge and look at. Just want to make sure none of them are at the back. They just get to look out the window on the sea days.
This is being recorded.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Cut. Never mind. But the opposite is true. On port days, they are significantly busier because, of course, they've got to get the pilot on board, maneuver alongside the pier. They've got mooring operations. They've got the security operations happening. They've got to get all of you and any possible supplies or anything else we have. Got to get all that taken care of. So, depending on your job, depends on where the job goes. For us, port days, hey, fantastic. We might get a little bit of time off. Maybe get ashore and check out whatever's happening locally. Quite often, Oz and I go to this really, really high-end boutique that they have in a lot of places. Not so much over on this side of the world, but once we get over to North America, they've got a lot more of it. It's kind of blue and white. It's Wall something.
Yeah.
Walmart, that's it,
Walmart.
yeah. So we quite often will go there. It is a crew member's favorite. What
Also,
can I
we
say?
go to another one, it's called Target.
Target, that's if you're really posh. You get to go to
Target is fantastic, yeah. That's where we get the clothes.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
But in-port manning is something else that we have to take into account because we always have to have a certain number of people on board in case there is an emergency on board. So we do rotate through the in-port manning positions, which guarantees that a certain number of people are on board in case there is a situation during a port day. Now, rest hours are something we all have to keep track of because we are governed by the Maritime Labor Convention. The International Labor Organization looks after that for us. So we have a certain number of hours we can work every day. Maximum is 14, and we do quite often get close to that as well. But we also do have to have 10 hours of rest within any 24-hour period. We have to fill out time card. We don't call it a time card anymore. We just call it an ILO, which is our actual record. Every half hour we have to account for whether we're working or resting, and then that gets audited, and thankfully now it's a computer that does it. When I first started, you had to do it by paper, and it was a little X. Every half hour you had off, you had to do this little X, and then at the end of the month you got to add them all up, which was a lot of fun, because if you screwed up, you started again. So we do still have to have that to keep track of all of our rest hours, but again, it is a legal requirement to make sure that everyone is fully aware and fully able to do their duties.
All right, now, life on board. All right, we got a couple of areas. We got crew recreation room, which we call the crew bar. We have the crew on officer's mess and love life. Wait for me, okay? Wait for me. We're gonna talk about the crew recreation room first.
I thought we'd go right to love life. Or,
All
lack,
right.
or lack thereof.
People always ask the question, are the guests allowed to sleep with the crew members? No. Are the crew allowed to sleep with each other? Yes. Do they do it? Absolutely. If you are not in a committed relationship like myself, thank you very much. Then married, so I don't do that anymore. I don't do that, that's what I meant. So, this will be what we call the M1. This is the corridor that goes from the very front of the ship to the very back of the ship and is located on deck 4. And the reason why we call it the M1 is because you will never see a crew member standing and just doing nothing over there. Because that is always a highway of teammates running back and forth, getting to their different areas, bringing trolleys full of food, full of beverages, full of everything. to move it around the ship?
So the name varies depending on the cruise line you're on. So Princess, being that we were part of P&O at one point in time with a British background, it's M1 as in Motorway 1. If you're on one of our sister lines, perhaps Carnival, which has more of a US background, it's called the I-95, named after I-95. We're not referring to I-95 between Lauderdale and Miami that never moves. We are talking about the actual highway.
The actual one. The actual one.
But that is the main highway, and it literally does go from the front to the back of the ship. And sometimes it is also referred to as the cruise director's highway as well, because sometimes you'll see Oz up here in the theater, and he'll finish his show, and then like 30 seconds later, he's back in the Explorer's Lounge. And they go, well, how did he do that? Because he went down to the cruise director's highway and went straight to the back of the ship, because the show stops, it's just straight back.
It's the easiest way to get from point A to point B, I can tell you that. Now, when it comes to the galleys, next to the M1, we have some of the galleys and some other levels as well. The main galleys, they cook up to 10,000 meals every single day on this vessel. And as you can see, everything that they have right there is freshly brought on board every single time. And the food and beverage director is the one of making sure that all that food, all those drinks and everything arrives in order for us to keep it fresh for you, right?
And everything is segregated. Everything is also subject to what we refer to as USPH, United States Public Health, which is why you'll see all of this steel in there. And that's what everyone's always blown away by the first time they go into the galley, is how metallic it is. And the idea with that is because then we can wash it down all the time. And we do several times a day. And we do have to comply with US public health regulations at all times, because of course they will pop up anytime and just all of a sudden like, hi, we're here to inspect. And the inspections from USPH are unbelievably strict. And I'm not taking anything away from any restaurants on land, because as you can tell, I like to eat as well. But most restaurants on land would not pass the USPH standards. They are super, super strict, even down to the point that we have 4 different buckets when we want to wash. So you have your wash, you have your sanitize, you have your rinse, and then there's one other one that doesn't remember in my head.
The clear water.
The clear wash, there we go, yeah, thank you.
That is to like just wipe everything off. And
Yeah.
of course, everything is separated, so the teammates on the first 2 weeks of their contract, they will know which colored bucket is which. So we have different colored buckets for different chemicals that we might use for the different areas.
So these guys are in one of the meat prep areas. As you can see there, you can see the red meat there. I think the next slide, oh, there's the pastry man.
We have our own pastry on board, and if you think the bread or the pastry or all those things are brought on board, made, no. Everything is made from scratch. We only get the original flour, the original sugar. We only get the raw products, and our teammates are the ones cooking all the food. So please give them a big round of applause, because they make everything from scratch. It's unbelievable.
And we do have the team in the bakery especially gets up very early. I think their shift starts at about 1 a.m. because they get in, get the dough so that it can rise to then be cooked, baked, and then ready for it. Oh, there's Oz's favorite area.
Now, this used to be my area when I was working on Celebrity. I told you I was a dishwasher, so at the end of the evening, I was supposed to wash the pots. These are the pots that we have here. That's what we call them. This is where you cook the soup. It's ridiculously big. I can tell you, like, if I stand next to it, it will be pretty much the same size as you see right here.
Yeah, we do soup by the gallon around here.
Literally by the gallons. And we have some different kinds of bisques or different things.
You've got
over there on the
sauces
side.
back here,
Sauces
like
on
your
that side as
gravies
well,
and
yeah.
whatnot in the back.
And you can see that there's not only one big pot. We have a big pot over here, another one here, another one up there, and another one up there. So everything is mixed properly. And when you try, for example, if you try the tomato bisque or the lobster bisque, and you taste them, it feels like they cooked it in a small pot to make sure that everything, all the condiments and everything is properly done. No, they already know the amount of spices and the amount of product that goes into each of the different dishes they make. And it is a huge amount of it. Now, this picture, what was this picture taken, Kali?
This picture was taken, and I can say this because I'm Canadian, this was taken in the world's worst port. This was taken in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you why Vancouver is the world's worst port. Well, there's multiple reasons, but just this example here. So all of the ships are designed so that the supplies go on deck number 4. So if you go to a place like, for example, anywhere else in the world, they will have the dock set so that it's right at level with deck number 4. Evidently, we weren't that smart in Vancouver because the deck is between deck 5 and 6. So everything gets loaded into these stupid little cages, which then have to have a crane, which then lowers it down, which then goes inside. So everything takes 5 times as long in Vancouver. Normally what happens is the ships will, or not the ships, the transport trucks will literally drive onto the pier, forklift, unload, take the pallet, and straight onto the ship. Quick, quick, quick. Usually the average turnaround will take, well, yeah, see, look at Vancouver. They've smashed the edge of the ship there because that's how they roll there. Usually on the average turnaround day, we will get roughly 200 pallets on, but well, more than 200 pallets, sorry, we'll get 110 tons of supplies on board. So it's not just your food and your booze, although that is a big part of it. It's any other supplies that we do need on the ship. So transport trucks bring them on and we load it onto the ship. So it is a huge process, so I always suggest everybody, the day you're joining, the day you're leaving, take a look and see what's going on the pier, because the process that goes out there is absolutely crazy to watch. But they've got it down to pretty much a science. Usually the average is about 25 seconds to get one of these pallets onto the ship. Wow. And they will do that non-stop onto the ship, and then it goes to the various areas on the M1, like we showed you, or here, down to the beer line. That's why this guy looks so happy. He's in the beer fridge.
He's the one taking care of the booze right there. So we have the different areas where we put this, for example, would be a cold room to keep everything a little colder. So whenever it goes from one point of the ship to another, for example, the beers are not going to be flat, or the champagne is not going to be flat. So they keep it always cold, cold, cold. And they have to create requisitions from the different restaurants or bars around the ship. They have to create a requisition so they can bring it to that fine gentleman over there. He will have to sign it, check what they need, give exactly what they need, and go back and double check and cross off whatever was given away.
And Oz and I both tried to sign up for the quality control job down there, and
it didn't work.
I don't know why.
It didn't work. It's so weird. So
vegetables.
When it comes to vegetables, look at that. That is impressive. Everything is incredibly fresh, and you will be amazed on how quick that gets taken care of already. We bring absolutely everything from farm to table, people call it, right? You know that expression? From farm to table, this is literally what we do with the products. And then we just, yeah.
The other thing is they want to make sure, especially on a longer voyage like this, to make sure things are on the various levels of freshness. So bananas, for example, bananas will come on 3 different stages in effect. So you'll have the ones that come on yellow, those get served right away. Then you got the ones that are yellowish green, those ripen up for a couple of days on board and then get served. And then you have the ones that came on green, and then they ripen up while they're on board, and then they get served. That way everything is fresh as it comes to you. So they try and bring things on in those various levels, especially on a longer cruise like this. If it was a short little 4-day cruise, out of Fort Lauderdale, wouldn't have to worry about that. But on these longer cruises, we definitely do.
And as you know, we have so many food, so much food and so many drinks that we will have definitely a lot of waste, right? And that's why we have created part of the environmental program, the segregation challenge. And this one we do individually as crew members. For example, we have different cans with different colors, and they're telling you exactly what they're supposed to be for. So whenever we bring all that massive ton of garbage down to the garbage room per se, they will take care of the general waste, as in metal, plastic, plastic bottles, metal cans, glass, aerosol cans. They will take care of all of that. But when it comes to the food waste, we have pulpers that will just mush all that up.
And biodigesters
It's
as well.
biodigested, and then they make it in like little tablets kind of thing, and they're released into the water for fish food. So we use a lot of that for fish food. Like, it's already processed, and it will not harm the environment. That's why it's taken care of that way.
And so we had to separate the food waste as well between soft food waste and hard food waste.
Hard waste.
So like your bones, your eggshells, pineapple husks, those kind of things get separated, and those go into a different waste stream. But those other ones, they can get dehydrated, biodigested, and they're fish food.
Yeah. Now this is what the recycling room looks like. As you can see, everything will be always well placed. We are going to separate absolutely everything from everywhere. For example, on that top one over there, you see, please wash your hands after sorting garbage. That one is actually a glass breaker machine. So whatever bottles that we have on board, you've seen that we have clear bottles, we got green bottles, and we got dark bottles. All of that is separated so they can have them in different containers when we go to different ports. These ports may have like recycling centers that we send all of that so they can recycle and recreate it and bring it back on board as a brand new product.
So if you look in the back, you'll see this giant bag, for lack of a better word. So that's what happens. The glass actually gets crushed down and put into one of those giant bags, and then they take it off as recycling, goes to the local recycling place. They will get it taken care of. Cardboard will all get baled. We've got a baling machine. All the cardboard gets compacted and baled down. Plastic gets put into bales as well. It all gets compacted and sent away again. So all of that gets recycled.
Now, when it comes to the crew accommodation areas, of course, we have the internet side over here. And this one is very important for crew members or teammates that are cruising for the first time or having their first contract, because probably they didn't bring their phones with them, they didn't bring their computers with them. So what Princess has done is putting a computer room on which the crew members are, communicating with their families and checking social media. And you can see the first guy is actually quite happy doing some training, but the second guy found out that he just had a son. And he was on the ship for 10 months in a row, and he found out that he just had a little son right there.
So this is actually also works as a training room as well. We do have various training available to the crew as well. Duolingo is one that we do have. I'm working on learning Spanish right now.
You're not doing well.
I'm getting very good at it. Dos cervezas, por favor. So, see, they knew.
I'm gonna teach you another one. ¿Dónde está el baño? Because after a couple of cervezas, you're definitely gonna need a baño.
No, I know baño. I know pollo.
All right. Now, we also have what we like to call the crew recreation room or crew bar. The worst part of this place is this devilish thing over here.
Yeah, it's just... So they brought the pool table on thinking, wow, wouldn't this be great? Wouldn't it be great to be able to play a game of pool on board? And absolutely it would be. Unfortunately,
We're playing pool and we're like,
pool moves as you're going on. So you can literally be the best pool player in the world and end up losing because the ship moves and there you go, the ball is gone. So this is not the greatest thing as you would expect. And then
we're in port.
yeah, exactly. Then there's another thing in behind. You see there, that's a foosball table.
Foosball table, yeah.
Oz and I are not allowed to play that. Only certain nationalities are allowed to play that. I'm not going to say which ones,
Italians.
but okay, Oz is going to say which one. But they are very into their foosball. But it's a great place to relax. One thing we do have to say though is that the alcohol policy is extremely strict, so we can go and have a drink or maybe 2 drinks. Everything, one of the absolute strictest rules on board concerns alcohol collection. So the 3 biggest rules on board are: number 1, no fraternizing with the guests. If that happens, the crew member and the guest will both be gone permanently. Number 2 is no drugs of any kind, no tolerance whatsoever. We do random testing for that as well. And number 3 is the alcohol policy as well. And depending on where we sail, you can basically look at it as being equivalent to your driving regulations, because we all have to be available for any emergency situations. So if you could pass a breathalyzer test to drive, you're fine. So some crew members who are smaller, I guess you would say,
Yeah.
maybe 1 drink might be their limit. If you're a bit of a lard ass like myself, you can probably get away with having 3 and not have to worry about it so much.
But you don't drink.
Well, no,
Right,
but-
Kyler?
Not while I'm on board, no,
Good.
unfortunately. So.
Yes. So that is the other area of the same crew bar. We have a little dancing area just right there, the one on yellow. On the back, we have a DJ. Every single evening, we have a lady whose title is the crew
Welfare
the crew welfare coordinator, and she is the one making sure that we have something going on every single evening. Sometimes we're gonna have karaoke for the crew, which it's quite fun actually to see, because you're gonna have a lot of our Filipino teammates gathered together with everybody else and just singing along and having a great time. Now,
If there is a sad ballad, they will sing it 10 times.
yes, they will. Yes, they will, and they will sing you "Sweet Caroline" 5 times in the night. Yes, so it is a very nice place to go. Usually we go there to just socialize, just to come out of the work mentality for a minute, and we just hang out with everybody, share how was the day, what did you do, how's the family at home, because we are always interested on each other, right? As teammates in general, because we are the family away from the family. So especially in this time of year, when we're coming close to Christmas and New Year's Eve, many teammates are feeling sad, especially the ones on their first contract ever. They need a little bit more, that heartfelt hug when we see them around the ship, because we know what it felt like when we were on our first contract and we were doing Christmas and you were sitting with this random group of people and you were not with your family. So this is why we have these areas over here, so we can, just socialize.
One of my colleagues just refers to it now as the floating family, because that's what it is.
That is true.
Yeah, our crew members are our floating family.
We also have a small crew shop.
The essentials, as you can see, shampoo, what have you. Like I mentioned earlier, we do tend to go to Walmart or Target if you're fancy like Oz.
Thank you.
But you do have some the shop on board if you do need to pick up any last minute supplies.
Yeah. Now, the crew mess or the crew restaurant. This one, it's literally as you see it. We have a buffet line all over the place that the teammates can just select whatever they want to eat. Every single evening, every single day, they have a different menu, right? There's always an Indian station and a Caribbean station, but then everything in between is from around the world. So they make it very international to accommodate all the different teammates and all the different nationalities. Because on board we have like 50 plus nationalities when it comes to the crew members. So we have to accommodate to everybody. Oh God.
Easiest way to look at it is if you are walking along on the ship and you see that the carpet disappears and it goes to bare metal walls and blue linoleum, turn around. That's the wrong spot for you. So
these are literally the crew only areas.
Yes.
And no guests is allowed in here.
And as you can see, it's not quite as fancy as what you're used to.
And the stairs are actually shorter and steeper than the regular stairs that we have around the vessel. So we know once we don't even think about it. Once the teammates just come in and in the crew area, we already know that we're gonna go up a little bit shorter on the steps.
That's how he walks up the stairs, apparently.
Of course, man. And on the way down, there's always a big entrance for me. Now, these are the crew corridors over here when it comes to the crew cabins and everything. Explain the doors.
So in effect, there's 3 types of crew members on board. So you have what's referred to as rating, which is your red door. So rating will be basically anybody, not anybody, but the majority of crew members on board are what we refer to as ratings. So that will be your restaurant staff, your bar servers, your engine guys that work within the engine itself, the stewards, etc. They have these red doors. Still nice accommodation, but not quite as much. So this is your standard red door rating cabin. So you've got bunk beds in there. You got everything you need. You've got your TV. They do have curtains, and it is kind of like your own little cocoon there. So if you want to go in and have a sleep and your roommate wants to watch TV or whatever, you just go in, close your curtains. They do have their restroom there as well.
A refrigerator.
Yep, refrigerator as well. Then you move up to, okay.
These are the crew staff cabins.
So there's the next level, which we don't actually have a picture of the door, but is a blue door cabin, which is a petty officer cabin. So that would be like your shop staff, the spa staff, as well as your photographers. Yeah. And they have slightly nicer accommodations. This is a little bit bigger. This is a crew staff officer cabin. So still bunk beds, a little bit bigger. They get carpet in their cabin as well. That's always the big difference. It's tile or carpet. And then they move up a little bit. This is a cruise director cabin.
That's my cabin.
Yeah. You can tell this is the day he moved in because it's never looked this neat and organized.
Come on, man, I just arrived, all right? So my cabin, it has exactly what I need, because as you see, I'm always around walking and talking to people and always being on the floor, and I literally just need my cabin to take a shower, change, sleep, and that's it.
Well, you got a big window too.
I do have a big window.
And a double bed.
And that curtain is constantly open, because I love to wake up with the sunrise. That's why I wake up early enough. And when I was a crew staff, we didn't have a porthole, right? So what I used to do is put the front of the ship channel and then hang up 2 curtains in front of the TV, and I had already like a little window right there. I'm being honest. And now, look at his cabin. That's so unfair.
Wow.
That is so unfair. He has a plasma TV. He has a little fire
Where's
over
my
there.
I don't remember seeing the fireplace when I was in there last. Admittedly, I do have a nicer cabin than the majority. I don't have the fireplace or the random patio doors and the faux fur bedspread, but yes, I do have a nice cabin. Not quite.
Yeah, you have like a little living room area, and then you have your room area, your bedroom area.
Yes.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
Rank has its privileges. What can I say?
I would like to show you. You think it's rocky right now, right? It's a little rocky. Well, I would like to show you a video of one of our previous vessels. This was crossing the Tasman Sea.
Tasman Sea between Australia and New Zealand. Roughest.
Check this out. Production, please help me with the sound. Sound production, please.
No sound.
Probably kept.
Yeah.
Well, it's plugged in but not on apparently. That would be coldish.
Yeah, it was not that bad actually,
Yeah.
like weather-wise.
So that's the Tasman Sea, which is basically is rough. Now this is the same sea from Oz's cabin. Unfortunately, we don't have the audio for this. Oh, we do.
Oh, there you go.
We can hear Oz giggle like a little girl at the end. It's very nice.
It was for the presentation purposes, all right? I did not think it was going to be like that. I literally hit my shin bone on the bed. So yeah, it is. It can get very, very crazy. I remember my first contract on Celebrity. We were actually sailing through the Bermuda Triangle, and we had 38-foot waves. And the ship was losing the horizon at the front, and then horrible. The most scary thing was like it only lasted exactly 24 hours. It started at 6 p.m. and it ended exactly 6 p.m. the very next day. And the sunset on the west, you could see that the water looked like oil because it was completely silent. There was not one small wave, and the reflection of the sun was making it look.
That was
like
your Celebrity ship dropping oil.
Yeah. Well, stop. We don't talk about Bruno. All right, we're gonna have probably a few minutes with questions, about 5 minutes. If you
We really hope you appreciate this presentation as much as Darren and I did.
Thanks for watching. Remember, like, subscribe.
And comment.
Retired Time to Cruise. Enjoy the video.
We're retired, it's time to cruise. Where will we go next? What will we see? What exciting adventures will we choose? We'll make new friends and make some plans. We'll post videos as we visit new lands. We love you to join us as we sail around in floating hotels of every brand. We're retired and it's time to cruise. Come and join us or watch our YouTube.